Thank you for attending Clearfly Communications Educational Series. This presentation is entitled Partner Introduction. The agenda for this presentation is to cover who is Clearfly, what is SIP, Clearfly products and services, customer benefits, partners benefits, becoming a partner, and of course, any questions and contact information. So who is Clearfly? We're going to go through this slide starting at 12 o'clock and working ourselves around the squares in a clockwise rotation. So Clearfly was established in 2007. We currently have well over 3,000 customers, and we've grown 50% year over year. It's pretty substantial, given that most SIP carriers today are nowhere near that size or that well versed as far as being established. And some other things to note about Clearfly is that we are 100% profitable. We have absolutely zero long-term debt. We're not looking to be acquired. We're actually looking to acquire companies and products and services to add to our portfolio. Clearfly offers some unique feature sets with our SIP products. We offer DID forwarding, bursting, international call tiers, and automatic failover options. To talk about those a little bit more is everybody offers some type of unavailable forwarding, and that is a standard which all carriers offer. Ours is a little bit more unique. It came about from a customer's or a dealer's request that we allow individual DID numbers to be forwarded to specific unavailable numbers in case service was interrupted. We took a look at that feature request, and within 3 months, we went ahead and implemented it. As of today, I'm not aware of anybody else offering that feature or that function. I'm sure that it is possible, but it is just something that they haven't done yet, and Clearfly has. Bursting, what that really means is the customer may buy a certain number of trunks. If their PBX allows more SIP trunks or more concurrent call sessions than what they have purchased, we can allow bursting to a certain percentage of the trunks that they have purchased. This makes sure that the customer gets their phone calls. It also helps them realize that they may need to add some additional trunks at a later date. But it also protects them from having to spend more money than maybe they're capable of, or maybe it's a matter of they don't know exactly how many trunks that they do need. So we take a best guess, and as the bursting comes about, it provides them with a record of saying, hey, we need to add some more. International call tiers, very, very important piece. Many of your customers are going to hear about toll fraud. They're going to hear about it on SIP trunks, PRIs, analog lines, but it's fairly rampant on SIP trunks. So Clearfly has taken an extremely proactive approach to that. And we do that for a couple reasons. Number one, it protects your customer from having this outrageous international phone bill, which if they do get that, the first person they're going to call is you, asking why weren't they protected, why wasn't the phone system set up, why were the phone calls allowed, and so on so forth. So we want to protect the customer, we want to protect you, and we also want to protect us. We don't want to have you in a bad position with your customer where, they're upset. We don't want you to be in a bad position with us. And so it's just an overall really aggressive approach to making sure that toll fraud is minimized. So what we've done is we've taken a look at every single country in the world. We grouped them into 3 tiers based on frequency of toll fraud. And so most countries, a good chunk of, probably 80% of the countries will fall in either Tier 0 or Tier 1. Tier 1 being countries like England, France, Germany, a lot of the South American countries will fall into tier 0. Not a country that normally has any toll fraud activity. Tier 1 is a little bit more frequent. Those countries may be Afghanistan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, places like that. They're going to fall into tier 1. And then there's going to be countries like the Congo, some Jamaican countries are going to fall into tier 2. And so if you have a customer that wants to do international calling, what we will do is we're going to ask what countries. And based on that, we're going to open up certain tiers. So if they did pick countries that are all falling into tier 0, any international call going to one of those tier 0 countries will completely go through. A call, meantime, to the Congo is going to be rejected from Clearfly's perspective. So that is how the tiering works. Automatic failover options, again, things happen. This is technology. There's a lot of pieces and parts to it. A phone system can lose power. Processor can go down. Internet connectivity can go down. A lot of different things that could cause Clearfly not to be able to communicate to the phone system. We do not want your customers not to receive their phone calls. We understand at Clearfly that phone calls and being able to communicate with prospective customers, existing customers, is of the utmost importance. So we've set up a couple things. The DID forwarding, the unavailable forwarding is one option. We also have a disaster attendant, which your account manager can provide you some additional insight on that. So we do have some automatic failover options. And again, it's to positively make sure that your customers end up getting their phone calls. So customer focus. We're ongoing. We have ongoing development designed around the customer's needs. As new features and functions become available and are requested, if we can implement them, we will absolutely do so, just like the DID forwarding. Our uptime is 99.99%, which is almost 100%. We can't say 100% because there's, again, things happen. But we do have a extremely high uptime to keep your customer running, customer happy, you're happy, we're happy, and that's what we're focused on. We also offer more than just SIP trunks. We also can provide last mile access. So what I mean by that is we can provide analog fax lines, analog phone lines. We can provide broadband connection to the facility in certain geographic areas. Again, your account manager can kind of tell you whether or not we can provide that in your local market, but it is definitely available. We have fax to mail, so it's an e-fax service. We also have disaster attendant, which I touched on it briefly. And we got a backup PBX, and what that really means is we have a backup attendant, we have a disaster attendant. So again, in case something were to happen with the PBX, we can make sure that the customer does get their phone calls. We also have analog and PRI handoff, and we're going to touch on that in just a few seconds as well. But again, if you have some customers out there with a legacy phone system that does not support a direct SIP connection, but they are still looking for an opportunity to save some money, maybe that cost savings on their monthly phone bill will help them save up enough money to buy a new PBX, we can take care of that as well. Our switching equipment. Our switching equipment is gold standard all the way across the board. We use a Metaswitch, which is, again, stated as a gold standard switch. There's really two primary SIP servers out there, that being Metaswitch and a BroadSoft switch. We follow the Metaswitch, and that's the equipment that we've purchased. One of the reasons we did so was, again, because of the flexibility that we have to add new functions and new features and the relationship that we had with Metaswitch. Our infrastructure is completely redundant. We're housed in Billings, Montana. We have 2 meta switches standing side by side. The building itself is completely redundant from a power supply standpoint. Big generators, hot facility in case the facility were to lose power. Clearfly also has a generator in our co-location within that facility as a backup. We also have a second generator on standby. So again, we're going to make sure that our equipment is up and running and there's no issues. We're partnered up with 3 major upstream carriers. It's considered the big 3. We'll talk about that in the next slide. And we've also paired up with major last mile providers such as Cox, Level 3, CenturyLink, and so forth. We're certified and tested with most major PBXs. The Avaya certification just went through this year. Currently working on Mitel and ShoreTel as well. So on our website, which is www.clearfly.net, if you go to support, interoperability, it'll actually list out all the PBXs that we are certified with. Some we are certified directly with the manufacturer. Others are customer tested and dealer tested. And we will have application notes for each of those. We're also extremely focused not only on the customer, but we're also focused on you, being our partner. We have got dedicated sales staff. We got dedicated provision and support staff that is available for your access or for you really 24/7. Our support staff is available 24/7. If our staff is not available, we have a third-party NOC that is well-versed on our products and our troubleshooting and what needs to happen in order to get the right information to get everything up and running again quickly as possible. If they are unable to help, or even if they are able to help, they're going to notify one of our on-staff support personnel 24/7, 365 days a year to make sure that they're aware that there was an issue, and they can log in remotely and take a look at it and make sure that everything is progressing the way it should. We also have one of the best partner portals in the industry. If you haven't watched that presentation, the portal presentation, you should. Our portal really gives you access to everything that you need to be a productive, efficient partner. Everything from lead generation to quote assignments to watching the project progress from paperwork signing all the way through turn up. You can keep track of tickets. If one of your customers contacts us directly and reports an issue, we're going to log in the portal. You're going to see the whole interaction as far as what our response is, what information they provided. That way you're well aware of it and can be proactive on your side as well. Lastly, our pricing on our SIP products, and actually all of our products, are extremely flexible, and it's designed around helping you close more business. We do understand that every market and every customer is going to be a little bit unique. We don't have a hard, fast rule on our pricing. If you say, hey, Tom, I need the pricing to be a little bit different or a little bit more aggressive, we're going to go ahead and do so. Again, we want to help you close more business. So we're flexible with our pricing. And with that, let's progress to the next slide. So our network details. So this is just a brief map of our current customer base. It's a few years old. We've got a lot more green little speckles on there. But as you can see, we cover from coast to coast, and we do a very good job at it. So we've got, again, staff available to take care of you, whether you're on the East Coast or the West Coast, from Washington all the way down to Florida. We cover all 48 states. So the two states that we don't currently cover are Hawaii and Alaska, and we're currently working on that as well. Right now, it's a issue regarding toll charges to those states. If you do need to have a remote phone up in Alaska, we can absolutely provide that. We can absolutely provide a phone number. Same with Hawaii. Talked about our data center already, and there's a quote stating that the Metaswitch is a gold standard soft switch. The resilient and redundant interface, as I mentioned, we've partnered up with what is considered in the United States as a big three as far as data infrastructure and upstream carriers, and those are Level 3, CenturyLink, and the Zayo Group. What's nice about us partnering with all three? A couple things. One is all three of those are housed in the exact same facility as Clearfly in Billings, Montana. So we have a direct connection to those upstream carriers. If for any reason a Level 3 is having an issue in a certain part of the country, and you're also covered, or that area of the country is also covered by Zayo Group, which I believe is Envoy now, or it was Envoy and now Zayo Group. I'm not quite sure which one it was, which came first. But if we can switch the traffic over to one of the other network providers, we're going to do so to keep the customer up and running. And when the most direct route becomes available again, let's say hypothetically it's Level 3, we're going to switch traffic back over to Level 3 once they've cleared their problem. So again, we're not tied to one. We have three. All three are available to us directly within our own facility in Billings, Montana. So that brings me to the point of what exactly is SIP. SIP stands for Session Initiation Protocol. Very industry standard protocol, very complex, lots of pieces and parts, but it is an industry standard and we adhere to that. It's really built around replacing the legacy traditional phone company services, which are POTS lines and PRIs. Even the largest LECs and CLECs today are delivering POTS lines or analog phone lines and PRIs via SIP. You can simply go back into the MPO at any building, and most likely you're going to see an Adtran or a Cisco or a Samsung sitting there converting their SIP traffic, the LECs or the CLEC SIP traffic, and breaking it out into POTS or a PRI. We're just bypassing that one single piece. We can do that, again, with a legacy handoff. We can deliver it the exact same way as the LEC or the CLEC, but it's going to come to that facility as SIP. And SIP is in the most layman terms, it's voice packets transported over broadband connection, and that is, in a nutshell, really what SIP is. So some things about SIP. SIP is extremely flexible. It's very quick to add, very quick to reduce your line count. So it's scalable and it fits comfortably into different architectures and deployment scenarios. SIP enables enterprises to quickly adapt and to change and create new business models, reducing the time to market. So with that, let's just say you've got a customer up and running. They currently have 10 SIP trunks, or maybe 20 DID numbers. Let's say they need to add 5 more DID numbers. You know, typically the old traditional telephone companies, it would take days and days and days to get that to happen. But with Clearfly and with the way that SIP is designed, we can add DID numbers in a matter of a day. Same scenario with adding additional SIP trunks. So we can take that 10 to 12 or 10 to 20 in realistically 24 hours. So it's extremely, extremely quick to add and to adapt to your customer's needs. We also only require 2 SIP trunks. So a customer can get started with as few as two SIP trunks, and they can grow as they need. Lastly is we don't require you to buy certain packages in order to get discretionary pricing. Remember, I talked about each customer in each market is different and how our pricing is flexible. Truly is. If the customer needs pricing at a certain point in order for you to get that sale, we're going to do that. We're not going to say, oh, well, we'll reduce the price if they sign a 3-year contract. We'd like them to sign a 3-year contract, and as would you. But if the customer wants to go with a 12-month contract or a 1-year contract, so be it. It's not going to change the pricing, change anything. It's just the way that we are and our customer focus and our partner focus. So again, I'm not going to require you to buy certain packages or certain contract terms in order to get that flexible pricing. So let's talk about our products and services. So Clearfly, really, we're going to break it down into 3 categories. We're going to break it down into our Clearfly SIP trunks. We're going to also break it down into some additional miscellaneous items such as a fax to mail that I've mentioned earlier. And then we're also going to break it down into the Clearfly access point, which is our last mile connections and our data services. So let's start with the Clearfly SIP trunks. Comes in 2 flavors. It comes in an unlimited SIP trunk, which includes local and long distance throughout all of North America, actually throughout United States and Canada. Currently working on adding Mexico to that. But all the long distance is going to be covered every single month. That way the customer is going to know what their exact telecom cost is every single month. There's not going to be 1 month it's going to be one thing, next month because they made 500 minutes of long distance calls, their bill is going to be more. It's a flat rate, flexible pricing. Customer is going to know every single month what they need to budget for their telecom costs. So that's our unlimited flavor. If they don't make many long distance calls and they're really just a local based company, maybe our metered product is a little bit better offering. The pricing is going to be less, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But the local calls are going to be all included, and they're just going to pay for any long distance calls or international calls. So those are our 2 flavors. We also have 2 ways of delivering that. So most customers are going to be a unbundled trunk or a UBT trunk. What that really means is Clearfly isn't providing the broadband, so it is going over the public internet. That is going to be probably 90% of your customer base. If the customer wants Clearfly to manage everything, again, depending on where they're located and what broadband access we have, we can offer a managed product. So we're providing the data portion and we're providing the voice portion, and we're going to manage it from our facility all the way to theirs. Lastly, as I touched on earlier, if you have a customer that currently has a legacy phone system that does not support SIP, but does want to have the cost savings, we can deliver SIP trunks to their facility. We'll put an AdTran IAD at that location that we're going to manage, and we're going to program, and we're going to monitor, and we can hand that SIP trunk off as either analog POTS lines or as a PRI. So that's our SIP trunks. Additional miscellaneous items, as I mentioned, we do have a fax to mail or an e-fax service that is available for your customers. We can offer toll-free numbers. We can either get new numbers or we can port numbers. We have the disaster attendant, and while it's there, let me just talk briefly about that. So the disaster attendant is just what it sounds. Customer loses connectivity, again, for a variety of reasons. Instead of the customer or a person calling into that business and getting a ring no answer, we can answer it with an auto attendant that states, "Thank you for calling XYZ company. For sales, press 1. For service, press 2. For administration or billing questions, press 3. And then each of those single-digit dial options are going to be redirected to a specific phone number. So again, we can front-end that right up front with an auto attendant anytime anytime we lose connectivity to the phone system. So that will kick in within 2 minutes, probably less than that, maybe a minute and a half after we lose connectivity. But as soon as it's available or as soon as we lose connectivity, that message is automatically going to be played. We also offer conference bridging. Most of our partners are unaware of that, but it is definitely available. We use it every day at Clearfly. And again, it is something available for you to offer to your customers. The access point or access part of this is the data services. We can provide DSL connections, T1 connections, or a Metro Ethernet connection in certain marketplaces. So again, consult with your account manager here at Clearfly, which is either myself, Tom Hall, Sam Johnson, or Bob Jenkins, and we can let you know whether or not your market or your customer's market falls into that realm. So now let's talk a little bit specifically about Clearfly SIP trunks and how they're delivered. So earlier I mentioned we have two options there. We have unbundled trunks or UBT trunks, which is, again, we're not providing the data connection. We're going to go over whoever they currently have. So it could be Comcast, CenturyLink, Cox, AT&T, Verizon, any of them. So the customer is going to go out and get their broadband connection, order their Clearfly trunks from us. We're going to go over the public internet to their local broadband connection and then deliver it to the PBX. So that's an unbundled trunk. A managed trunk, we're going to take care of the connection all the way through from Clearfly's facility in Billings, Montana, all the way to the customer's premise. And, excuse me, sorry about that. And we're going to manage it all the way across. So there's a little bit more quality of service capabilities there. But we're going to talk about quality of service in just a second. This is just another diagram just showing a legacy handoff. So this is an analog or a PRI handoff. Same scenario. It's UBT trunks, so the customer's providing their internet connection, ordering the SIP trunks from us. We're going to go over that. We're going to ship an AdTran unit. Model is dependent on what they want. But we're going to manage this entire piece right here. So customer doesn't need to worry, nor do you need to worry about that. It's just going to be an additional rental cost on their phone bill. From a managed standpoint, again, they're ordering their trunks and their internet connection from Clearfly. We're going to ship an AdTran unit that is going to break that out into the POTS or FXS. Some people call it FXS, or a PRI handoff back to the phone equipment. So let's talk about quality of service. So the question always comes up: is there a quality of service attached to SIP trunks? That answer is yes if we're doing a managed connection. The answer is really no once the customer provides their own internet connection. Not saying that there isn't. There's some things that you can do to help that along. But if they're providing the broadband, the SIP connection or a SIP transportation of the voice packets is going to go over the internet. So I will tell you from firsthand experience, I have personally installed SIP over both DSL as well as cable. Works very, very well. but you are going to need to do some due diligence up front. Over a T1 or a bonded T's or fiber connection, it works extremely smooth. So however that customer is getting their broadband connection, chances are we're going to be able to successfully deploy SIP over that, and it's going to sound great. So couple things. There's the last point on here. Clearfly recommends a separate internet connection for UBT trunks. In an ideal world, that would be the case. The customer is going to have a internet connection for their data usage, and they're going to have a separate one for their voice usage. In the real world, though, that isn't necessarily the case. So we're going to need to do a little bit of due diligence. So one of those things that you can do is you can run a speed test. So Clearfly does have on our website a tool that will allow you to do a speed test directly back to our facility. So it's a little bit different than, Speakeasy's speed test, which is going to go to one of their facilities. This is testing from the customer's premise directly back to Billings, Montana, and it'll give you a real good snapshot of what you can expect from a latency and jitter and a packet loss standpoint. So what we're really looking for on that speed test is that we need to make sure that the latency is under 150 milliseconds. If it is more than 150 milliseconds, the customer may experience some echoes, maybe some delays in communication, and those are typically signs that the latency has jumped up to over 150 milliseconds. We also want to make sure that the jitter is under 20 milliseconds. And again, that's typically caused by network congestion, which could be, they're sending a large file and it's completely sucking up the bandwidth, and there's no prioritization on the router to make sure that voice gets priority over data. So we need to make sure the jitter is under 20 milliseconds. Packet loss, we really want to see 0. Again, packet loss is due to signal degradation, network congestion, or a faulty network hardware. So if you're seeing packet loss, we need to resolve that before we deploy SIP. So this is what the speed test would look like. In this example, the latency was 11 milliseconds, jitter was 1 millisecond. Were 500, packets received 500, so there was 0 packet loss, and that upload speed and download speed. So just to put that in perspective, we're always going to look at the lowest of these two. Typically, it's going to be the upload speed, but at 1.47 milliseconds or megabytes per second, you're probably looking at 18 concurrent, someplace 15 to 18 concurrent SIP calls being handled if there was no data traffic. So easily can handle 10 SIP calls or 10 SIP trunks, even with data usage, especially if there's prioritization given to the voice. So again, I mentioned the word snapshot. The one thing about speed tests is if you just run one speed test, it is really just a snapshot or a look at that connection at a specific time. That may not be representative of the total usage of that bandwidth throughout the day. So our recommendation is to run multiple speed tests if that's all you're going to do, is do a speed test. You're probably going to want to do it in the morning, you're going to want to do it in the afternoon, you're going to want to do it in the before closing. And look at all three of them, make sure that it's all fine, and if it's fine, we're good to go. There are some alternatives to that. And as I mentioned, we should run multiple speed tests, but for a clearer picture, there's a ton of software out there, free software, that will give you a really good view of the latency and the jitter and the packet loss throughout the day. One of them that I personally use is Ping Plotter Pro. You can go onto the customer's premise, download a free 30-day trial, run it for 24 hours, maybe run it for 48 hours. And if you run it for 48 hours, you're going to see the average of the latency, the jitter, and the packet loss over those 48 hours. So that will give you a very, very clear picture of what you're stepping into, and whether or not the customer's broadband connection will be sufficient for a successful deployment of SIP. So now let's talk a little bit about pricing. So Clearfly SIP trunk pricing for unlimited flavor. One SIP trunk, default price is $24.95. Each DID number is going to be 35 cents, and there's going to be a $5 setup fee. That unlimited includes domestic long distance and calling to Canada. It does not support fax, so I did want to mention that we do have some fax options available, but that is how the unlimited SIP trunk, Clearfly SIP trunk, is going to price. Again, I mentioned it a couple times now, but our pricing is flexible. Contact your account manager, and they can kind of go through that range of pricing that we can take care of. The metered SIP trunks start off at $14.95. Again, that's a default price, but there is some flexibility there. Everything else is going to be the same, 35 cents per DID, $5 setup charge. Typically, that's for porting a phone number. And any long distance calls are going to be charged at 4 cents a minute. Again, no fax support there. If we're going to do a legacy handoff, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to ship an ADTRAN IAD to the customer's facility, and there is going to be a rental fee for that added to their bill. And depending on what they need and what they're requesting, these are some of the prices that you can expect. So now let's talk about customer benefits. So the benefits that the customer is going to receive, they're going to receive affordable pricing. Should provide them with some cost savings over traditional analog or a PRI connection. If they go with the unlimited plan, they're going to receive unlimited long distance. So again, their phone bill is going to be constant from month to month unless there's international calls. They can get DID numbers from all 48 states. So again, that's going to be a little bit different than what they can expect with analog phone lines or a PRI. Typically, LEX and CLEX will provide DID numbers for their local marketplace, but they won't provide them for anywhere else. Got a customer that is a CPA firm. They've got 4 offices, 3 throughout Montana, and they also have an office in Nevada, and they're continuing to look to expand to other states. So we've provided DID numbers for all of their locations on one bill, and just simplifies everything from that customer's perspective. We can port phone numbers from all 48 states. Actually, as I mentioned, we can also port numbers from Hawaii and Alaska as well. So really, it's 50 states. We just don't do much business in either one of those. There's no penalty for multi-year contracts less than 36 months. So again, if they're gun shy or they don't want to be locked in for 3 years, we definitely set them up for a 1-year contract or 12 months. It's not going to change the pricing, it's again, each customer is going to be different and unique, so we're flexible with that. And also, as I mentioned earlier, as technology advancements and enhancements come about, we're going to continue to add those features and functions to our product line, such as the DID unavailable forward, and that's typically done at no charge. So this is just another slide more or less stating the same thing. The customer is going to save money. They're going to get big business features without big costs. So caller ID is included. DID numbers are available, which they are not on analog phone lines. From an enterprise customer standpoint, single carrier for all locations. Again, I mentioned the CPA firm. They've got one phone bill versus having, 4 phone bills. So it makes things very, very easy from their standpoint, and it's also reducing their long distance costs. It's flexible. We can move telephone numbers geographically. We can add numbers from throughout the United States and bring them in, and it also consolidates their network resources. And you as our partner will also have available. It's really a customer return on investment spreadsheet. It will help you sell and justify the new purchase of a new phone system, and of course the upgrade from analog or PRI to a SIP trunk connection. So I'm not going to go through this in great detail, but what it really breaks down into 2 columns. Their current cost, what it costs, and again, these numbers can be manipulated by you. What the cost is going to be from a Clearfly standpoint, and again, these can be manipulated based on your customer's requirements and what you believe the pricing needs to be set at. It really paints a really nice picture. So this example shows that their current connectivity with their internet connection was $526.79 a month. Using Clearfly, their cost every month is $277.05, which is $48.21% savings. Monthly savings in dollars is going to be $253.94. Over a 3-year contract, it's going to save them $9,141.84. So again, that savings may be enough to justify them purchasing a new phone equipment. So again, contact your account manager. They'll set you up with this tool. You'll have access to it, and I strongly urge you to use it and help justify the cost of new phone equipment and the conversion from analog or PRI to SIP. So what's in it for you? What's your benefit? Why become a Clearfly partner? Well, number one, you're going to get a recurring revenue. So everything that you sell, you're going to get a commission paid on, and that commission is going to continue to grow as your customer base grows as well. So some of our top partners are receiving checks of $6,000-$7,000 every single month because they have so many customers using Clearfly SIP that their commission structure justifies $6,000-$7,000 a month. We've got new companies that started off with $10 a month and quickly grew to $1,000 a month. So again, you are going to get a recurring revenue for the life of the customer. As the customer stays with us, you're going to continue to get paid for it. So we do appreciate, it's our way of appreciating you bringing business to us. Our pricing is flexible. Again, I would rather have you contact us and say, hey, I'm really close to closing this sale, but the customer is asking us, for some additional savings. You've got 2 options in that point. At that point, you have an option of reducing the cost of your PBX that you're trying to sell, which is going to cut into your margin, or contacting Clearfly and saying, hey, I need to reduce the price from $24.95 to $19.95 per SIP trunk. I can tell you, myself and all my colleagues will be happy to do that. And if that savings on the SIP trunk helps you close that deal, your profit margin on the PBX sale is remained intact, and the customer is happy. So we're happy to do that, and that's a big benefit for you. Our dedicated sales support is available, as I mentioned earlier. Same with our sales and engineering support, our technical support, and our provisioning support. Again, accessible 24/7, 365 days a year. And then, of course, our online dealer portal. So you can track your quotes there. You can request quotes there. You can keep track of all the projects. Really, there is absolutely zero reason for you not to know what's going on with your customers and with your proposals if you're using our portal. So that's a big, big benefit. So last, I've actually really only got 2 slides left. So the big thing is becoming a Clearfly partner. If you're not a partner already, very, very easy to do. You're going to request a portal partner request. Really, it's going to be on our website. You're going to go to our website, which again is www.clearfly.net. Click on the section entitled Partners, and on there it's a web form. Fill it out. It's going to get submitted to us. One of the account managers will give you a holler as soon as they get it, have a conversation with you. We're going to then send you a partner agreement and an order for test trunks if you'd like to test our SIP trunks out in your office. We'll get that processed immediately, and then we're going to get you set up on our portal. From there, you're going to get some training from your account manager on how to use the portal, how the provisioning process works, and then you're also going to get some technical training from our engineers and support staff. So that's really the process. Very, very easy. Won't take more than 2 minutes for you to fill out that web form on our website, and everything will get moving. So that is really all I have today. I really do appreciate, and everyone at Clearfly appreciates, you taking the time to watch this video. If you haven't seen our other videos that are available, please take some time to do so. So with that, this is our contact information. You can send an email to info@clearfly.net for any general inquiries. If you have specific sales questions, sales@clearfly.net, or support is support@clearfly.net. Phone numbers are also listed there. So again, we appreciate the opportunity that you've given us, and we look forward to a long-standing, very profitable relationship for all of us. Thank you so much, and have a great day.